Stop right there. If you think every expat story in Thailand is all beaches and bliss, get ready for a ride that'll flip your script. Welcome to Bangkok Buzz, the channel where the real Bangkok beats meet stories from people carving out new lives in the land of smiles. Tap subscribe, smash that like, and drop your thoughts in the comments. You'll want to weigh in on this one. Stick around till the end. It's a wild ride that goes from neon-lit paradise to far-flung rural towns, and it's all true. Let's dive in. Imagine you're on what's supposed to be a regular holiday with your mates, a crew mostly in their late 40s or early 50s, and you touch down in Pattaya for the first time. Instantly, your old ambitions, gone. That's the power of this place. You come expecting a good time, but for some, it's a transformation. The bars, the energy, the controlled chaos. Suddenly Pattaya isn't just a stopover, it's the epicenter of your new world. For one man, that shock of excitement shifted every plan he ever had. Everyone else on the trip had fun, but went home thousands of miles away and carried on. For him, something had awoken that wouldn't let go. Back in Newcastle, day-to-day life as a bin worker just didn't measure up. Even though he had a house, travel was just an escape, a taste, not the main course. When the guys booked the next trip somewhere in Europe, he already knew. Nothing but Thailand would cut it. 2011 hit, and instead of joining the gang, he caught a solo flight straight back to Pattaya. Didn't bother with any detours. Relief flooded over him the moment he arrived. For 2 full weeks it was late mornings, lazy noodle lunches, long chats in the bars with expats turned owners, glimpses into the fantasy of waking up to run your own business, surrounded by the palm trees and the buzz. One guy from England said he'd just packed it all in and moved one day. Now he owned his own bar and loved it. That planted a spark. Could he swing this life? Looking at his situation, no massive savings but a mortgage-free house, selling it all to bet on a dream in Pattaya suddenly sounded not just possible, but inevitable. So the research began. More nights, more bars, more expats spinning tales of big investments and fluctuating fortunes. Everyone was open about deals, leases, and the tricks of the trade. One bloke needed to sell up because he landed a different job. Another admitted the books looked great, but profits faded fast. Suddenly, the golden dream of bar ownership didn't look quite so effortless, but the pull was too strong. He flew back to Newcastle haunted by visions of the beach, the late nights, the sense of freedom. Months passed in limbo. Mates noticed the change. Pub nights back home felt gray, empty, pointless. The ordinary was no longer enough. While friends settled into ordinary routines, some starting marriages, others content in their comfort zones, his itch for something more only sharpened. The house went up for sale the day after he decided, wandered 10 grand from the sale, and with it, a ticket to freedom. He quit the job, booked a one-way to Thailand, and hit Pattaya at 50 years old, determined to make permanent what felt so fleeting. First things first, Thai bank account, retirement visa, all the paperwork for a major life pivot. Thankfully, the house sold quickly. With the money safely transferred, he cut his last ties with England, no plans to ever return. Landing in Pattaya was pure liberation. With a cheap condo, he spent the first few months soaking up the good life, sleeping in, savoring local street food, chatting up bar owners, and soaking in the atmosphere. For a moment, it was all possibility and zero pressure. The plan to buy a bar grew concrete. A Swedish expat was selling his, and this one ticked the boxes. Great condition, 2 pool tables, big screens, solid location, and a price tag within reach. The deal went through. 2.7 million baht for the bar, legal fees done, a bit stashed for emergencies, and he was ready. The launch was electric. Beautiful chaos, customers rolling in, staff on hand, every night a buzz. Months flew by. Profits trickled in, not much, but enough to hope for better. Then the off-peak season hit, and reality set in. For every high, there were hits. Staff not showing up but still needing payment. Legal headaches, unexpected costs adding up. Bar books, he learned, could be as much fiction as fact. Numbers on the page don't always match cash in the till. The losses mounted. One bad month turned into 6 and the bank account thinned dangerously fast. Trying to salvage the dream, he tweaked staffing, leaned on his girlfriend for help, threw himself into the work. The high season brought a glimmer, a few profitable months, but the rest of the year bled red. Heartbreak set in. The dream was right in front of him, but slipping through his fingers. By 2014, enough was enough. The numbers didn't lie. Even selling the bar would scrape back only scraps of his original investment, but he couldn't fake the books for the next buyer. $1 million baht recouped, a fraction of what he put in. Still, it was something. At least he didn't lose it all. What now? Love offered a soft landing. He followed his girlfriend to her rural hometown for a reset. With a bit of money left, he built a modest home on her family's land, picking up work as an English teacher. It wasn't what he'd pictured, 30,000 baht a month, a rural Thai shack instead of neon lights and cocktails. But it was stability, and a chance to stay in the country he'd grown to love. They got married, settled into a life far from the city, visiting Pattaya every so often for a hit of nostalgia. Now he juggles teaching in the local school with some private lessons. His wife works as well, and together they scrape by. The cost of living's low, but the fears about retirement are real. No rich safety net if the money runs dry. Yet compared to what he left behind in England, absolutely nothing, no prospects or passion. Thailand remains the better gamble. Looking back, he wouldn't trade the adventure. It didn't go to plan. But some dreams are worth living, even if they don't last forever. His advice to anyone dreaming of opening a bar in Thailand: don't do it unless you know the ropes, really know them. The success stories are rare, the pitfalls many, and the numbers on those balance sheets, they can be as slippery as a patpong sidewalk after a rainstorm. But for the pros, for the ones who've done it before, maybe, just maybe, Thailand will deal a kinder hand. So if you're drawn to the wild, the unknown, and the hope of a whole new life under tropical skies, take heed, tread carefully, and remember that paradise is always a little more complicated than it seems. Thanks for sticking with Bangkok Buzz. Don't forget to hit subscribe, leave us a like, and share your own thoughts or wild stories in the comments below. Want more deep dives into expat journeys, Bangkok's secrets, and Thailand's untold tales? We've got plenty coming, so stay tuned and we'll see you in the next episode.